Paul. Yeah. They have what's called venereal disease, a contagious disease, a syphilis or gonorrhea, which is typically acquired through sexual intercourse. Yeah. Yep. Just reading the dictionary, and then they have what's called a vault, an arch structure that forms a ceiling or roof, a room for storage and safekeeping, as in a bank, usually made of steel, and a burial chamber. To supply or construct with a vault to jump or leap with the aid of a pole. Then they have what's called the vasectomy, pow pow, a method of male sterility, a sterilization involving the surgical excision of a part of the tube that conveys semen. Now I happen to know a little something about venereal disease, considering I haven't had any sort of sexual intimacy for, well, over 6 years now. Yeah. I've been really doing a lot of study on different types of venereal diseases, and for those in the come to find out fish family that just have to come to find out, I'm kind of thinking there are some venereal diseases that the government hasn't been talking about. Now, let's say I found out that law enforcement actually did know about the come to find out loaded orgasms of those in the population that have had sex with fish or dogs or lizards or any other type of animal. And instead of actually enforcing the laws, you decided we're just going to control everybody, and we're going to let the disease run its course, so that those that you clone, that you have controlled, so that they get long-term brain damage, also are going to get a type of mutation so that they no longer look like human beings because you're dogged. Now, when the government doesn't report diseases because they just are too concerned about what the public would say about it, my experience it has been that I've seen quite a few different types of mutations that I know are real. There's a lot of liability to those in law enforcement for not reporting actual diseases. Now, as I go through every sheriff, police department, those elected or appointed to office, those that have the actual legal obligation to inform the authorities anytime they have any knowledge of anything that could cause brain damage or diseases to the population, I'm sure that you're actually legally liable for attempting to cover up any disease or any technology that is hurtful, harmful, or damaging to those that are American citizens. And I'll sue you. Now, I know, let's say you're in the dog family. You've been having litters of dogs because of all your cloning technology. Now, a human man, there's this tube, the vasectomy. I've known men that have done this. In fact, give me every vasectomy for the last, 40 years. Those in the family that probably would never have a vasectomy because they always have sex during the ovulation and they're trying to inbreed the population. Let's say you're just the big dog and you always have sex during the ovulation and you always impregnate the human woman. It could be that your genitals are different than my human citizen genitals. Now, the vasectomy of a dog is, do you cauterize that tube that goes where the sperm is made, or do you cauterize the tube where the semen is made? Yeah. Now, I know it could be in a dog, it might be the semen's the problem. How much sperm would leak out if you couldn't ejaculate any semen? Not a lot. Now, your little puppies, look like actual human beings. And they always have sex during the ovulation, and they're inbreeding the population, causing the population to become diseased. And because you're in law enforcement or you're an oath and you could just never ever have your own family receive vasectomies, let's say I went through every known family member of those that don't enforce the Constitution, and I say, well, I'm going to have to give you a vasectomy that causes you to not to be able to ejaculate. Now, I know it's sterilization of every dog, but you're causing disease to the population. Now, if I found out that the sheriff's own DNA was to make a whole lot of little puppies, and those puppies were used to violate the rights of American citizens because they keep deleting my emails and obstructing my use of the internet, I would vasectomy the sheriff! And I'd sterilize his whole family for spreading disease and causing brain damage to the American population. Now, I'm going to need to know all the vasectomy procedures, and then if it's possible, could you have a vasectomy where there could be no ejaculation? You might have an erection, but nothing would come out of there. Now, there's a problem with what's known as bank vaults. Yes, there is. You know, there are certain substances that you can't see through. Now, for myself, I happen to like see-through garments on very large-breasted women that like putting their hands in the hair of my chest. That's sweet. There are substances known as lead, steel, certain types of concrete that when you put a vault in a bank and it's built in such a way that it's atomic proof. It's like a special type of bunker construction. Yes. Well, let's say you used 10 feet of concrete and you had lead underneath it, and if you tried to use a satellite to get through it, some satellites don't get through certain bunkers. I just want the actual GPS location of every bank vault. And then I want to know, can a satellite get through the thickness of the steel of bank vaults? Yeah. You wouldn't have any super top secret locations where you're sure a satellite can't find out where they're at.